as well.
Likewise.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's masterclass. I'd like to welcome Candice and Tamsin. Lovely to see you. So
And
today we're talking about if you're not clear, confident, and consistent, they're not buying. So breaking through the 5 personal branding visibility blocks, keeping you stuck, silent, and broke. So I'm going to teach you today why clients are not buying even if your services are great, breaking through the 5 personal branding visibility blocks and what they are, so strategies for that, how to connect your personal brand to actual cash flow, and what to do this week to be seen, trusted, and hired. So are any of these your goals? So positioning yourself as an expert in your field. Hi, David. Connecting and being noticed by potential clients and referral partners, building an audience, earning more, getting promoted, acquiring new customers, pivoting your career, and leveraging your previous experience and success for the next one. So I hear this all the time from my clients. So I hear, I'm not clear what my personal brand is. I don't know what to say. Would anyone be interested in what I have to say? I'm afraid to share my true story. I don't know how to sell myself. I'm bad at marketing. I'm anxious when I pitch my services. I'm inconsistent and I'm not clear about my niche and who my clients are. So I'm not sure if you fall into that, David or Candice. I know Tamsin very well. But if you fall into any of that, do not worry. You are not alone. There's a lot of people that feel stuck, silent, and broke. So we are problem solving this together. So there's no shame in any of this. So who am I? So I'm a successful business owner. I've been in small business all of my career. I consider myself an entrepreneur, a strategist, a consultant. So my speciality is business coaching for startups, and I do personal branding strategy. And obviously, I love personal branding because I'm also a poet and I have been meditating for 30 years. And the mind and mindset is something that really impacts our success. And so I have a poetry book called Poetic Release from Negative Thinking. So I'll be diving into that as well. So my values are leverage, freedom, connection, transformation, harmony, integrity, fun, collaboration. And there's another one, which is affordability. That's also one of my values as well. So my mission is to continue to be recognized as a sought after personal brand strategist and coach that sees things in clients and their business they could not see, producing transformational shifts in personal identity, reinvention, empowerment, business strategy, and business results. So my vision is every visionary entrepreneur equipped to achieve your positive impact, fulfilled and financially thriving. So I'm a self-published poet. I do lots of speaking on personal branding. I run masterclasses. I'm the founder of She Simply Impacts, which is an affordable coaching sort of club platform for women. It's a collective of coaches and it's a membership of $47 a month, and you get access like a gym membership to any of the sessions, and it's healing, emerging, and thriving. So I wanted to create an affordable solution so that we can be, supported, heard, and unstoppable in career, business, and life. So my coaching brand is visionaccountable.com.au. I've got lots of testimonials on LinkedIn, my Facebook business page. So if you want to research me, please go ahead. So the visibility end game. So this masterclass is all about visibility. So we are here, potentially, clients not buying. We might feel stuck. We might feel silent. We're not really fulfilling our potential through our visibility. And that is obviously impacting our, income and our results in general, because obviously business is about making money. So we tailor our personal brand to help us get leads, referrals, help us get booked if we're speakers, help us get chosen, to get paid, other people speaking about us, and obviously being endorsed and many more things. So if clients, often clients are not buying even when our services are fantastic. And so in a nutshell, these are kind of the real reasons. So unclear messaging is a biggie, biggie, biggie. So this is a big one. Your value isn't clear to potential clients. Visibility, so inconsistent. So maybe you show up sporadically, so clients don't see you as a trusted expert. You have no strategic positioning, so potentially you're not connecting your services to the specific problems clients want solved, and I'll delve into that. Fear of rejection, obviously, so hesitating to put ourselves out there, fearing criticism or judgment, and no strong call to action. So people put lots and lots of posts online, but clients don't know what to do next to work with us, so we don't make it easy. So it's really what we're selling is we're selling only the next step. We're not selling everything. We're just selling what do we want them to do? Do we want them to book into our calendar? Do we want them to call us? Do we want them to attend an event that we're putting on? So what is the next step? So we've got to be just really clear and make that simple. So moving on to the 5 personal branding visibility blocks. So fear of judgment and criticism is right at the top. Lack of clarity. So that's a very big one. So if we're not clear, our prospects are not going to be clear, and neither are our clients. We might still be feeling some lack of confidence and belief. So maybe, and I'm going to run through some scenarios around that. So you might be in one of 3 scenarios. Lack of a strategy is often something that holds us back and is one of the blocks to visibility, because we've got to have a game plan. We've got to know what we're doing every day, every week, every month, and we've got to have accountability around that. And obviously, lack of consistency is often tied with a lack of accountability. So all of these are interrelated, but I'm just going to tackle them one at a time. So number 1 is a very, very biggie, the fear of judgment and criticism. So this includes the fear of what other people think. So, and this actually impacts everything. So it impacts our mindset, our ability to expand as opposed to shrink, and it impacts our ability to take action. So it makes, stops us in our tracks. And this is exactly why we're here. So the fear of rejection. So if we make an offer, if we do something and we get rejected, and then we take that personally, and then that sort of maybe feeds into some past rejection that we have, that may be something that was unresolved, or we were rejected in the past or as children. And it can really feed into all of these things, and that can definitely stop us, the word no. And then what happens, which is not so great, is that we get stopped when it comes to opportunities for public speaking, opportunities to get on camera and actually do some video marketing, which is one of the most powerful visibility strategies around. It stops us in our direct outreach, because we think, well, we hate being spammed. We hate it when people connect with us on LinkedIn and then they message us straight away. Cold calling, so many people are afraid of picking up the phone, and everything's done on text these days. And, even with my daughter, I'm lucky to get her on the phone. It's all Facebook Messenger. So then this impacts with our following up, because I hear people say, I make these great referrals, referral partner connections. I'm out and about networking. But then when it comes to the follow-up, I'm stuck and stopped. I don't know what to say. I don't want to bother them. I don't want to, take up people's time. And then obviously it impacts us from posting content. So this fear is very, very real. It's a real fear. It feels real to us, but is it real? Is this real? And the thing is, how badly do we want something? Hi, Jen. Because, it feels real, but realistically speaking, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? So this is where we have to, be very good and become very adept at self-coaching ourselves, and in some cases, self-healing and professional, getting professional help if we've got sort of unresolved trauma and things from the past that actually impact visibility in the present moment. So I know for myself that visibility is a big thing that I've always, I guess it's been one of the biggest things in my own career, because I grew up in a family of domestic violence and mental illness. And so to be visible was very threatening. And so I trained myself to be invisible, and I was so good at it. So I was so good at going under the radar. And my sister was very confident. So she was 3 years older than me, and she's still very extremely confident. And she's a barrister and she's a professional fighter. So she always did the fighting on my behalf. So I was able to hide behind her. And then in my married, when I got married, my ex-husband name was Barnaby, and he was this tall redhead. He loved visibility and he was so good at it, and he was so talented. And so again, I could easily hide behind him because we were a husband and wife business team. But I didn't have to, do anything because he was so good at it. So then when our marriage ended and I then had to do a deep dive into myself and find out, well, what do I really want? I realized that I still had similar goals to what the two of us had together. And so then I had to push myself out of my comfort zone and become visible. So it's actually been this big journey for myself. So I feel your pain. So I do what I do because I understand the pain of being invisible deeply. And I understand how that also can be linked to trauma because I've had a lot of trauma to heal from my own past. So I hope you've got a pen and paper because we're going to do an exercise. So we're going to do the first exercise, which is reframing criticism or disapproval as a compliment. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. So how many of you have ever been criticized for doing something different? Hands up. Yeah, most of us. And so maybe you had a bold idea, a creative project, a new way of doing things, a new look, an opinion, and someone shot it down. Maybe they said, or what did they say? Does anyone have any? Happy to open the floor. Were you shot down for something, and what was said to you? I'd just love to know if you feel brave enough. Otherwise, yes, Tamsin, please.
One of mine was about staying in your lane.
Mm.
Very much about clipping your wings, stay in your lane. That's not for you to worry about. You don't need to think about that or try and solve for it.
Yes, so you were pushed back down, you were suppressed. Yeah. Anybody else want to share? Jen.
I couldn't think of it at first, but yeah, when I first wrote a book that wasn't like my expertise, just because I wanted to, my auntie and uncle said that I shouldn't be writing in that financial space, that, I don't have that background. And yeah, that was really cutting because they were writers.
Yeah, yeah. So they said, who the hell are you to be doing this?
Mm.
You don't belong in that space. Yep, that's very powerful. Anything else, Candace? Do you have anything? You don't feel pressured?
No, no, don't feel pressured at all, Angela. I guess I was just trying to think of what an area that I often come up against is risk taking financially in, when times are already tough and when you're already, feeling strapped and feeling broke. So I feel that and sometimes it's you got to spend to make money.
That's
You
right.
spend to have a good life,
That's
so
right.
so I find that's an element of where the criticism comes in. Well, you don't
Yeah,
have the money right now.
totally.
So, but how do you move past it? How do you earn money?
That's right, exactly. And so that's the thing. So you were told that won't work, that's too risky.
Yeah.
You don't fit in, you don't belong here. So these are all the things. So absolutely, and that's fantastic. So I've got many examples from my past, but sort of I've given you a bit of a snapshot of me. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down a time when you face disapproval, criticism, or resistance. So what was said to you, and then flip the script. So how can you reframe that disapproval as a compliment? So what does it say about your courage, your creativity, and your authenticity? Because actually, just in the 3 examples I've heard from the 3 of you, there has been exactly all those things: courage, creativity, and authenticity, and all of those, uh, you know, like goals and aspirations to expand, because where visibility is all about expansion. And so then what I want you to do is reframe that. So can someone share a reframe quickly? Tamsin?
I will. So I would reframe my stay in your lane to be ambitious and ask questions, because curiosity is what propels me forward.
Love that. Fantastic. Anyone else?
I think my reframe, Angela, is the risk is worth it because it's going to move me in the direction I want to be in.
Love that. And Jen?
I've got nothing.
Okay. Don't feel pressured. That's fine. We'll move on. So the next one quickly is visionary risk taking. So there's 2 exercises here. So if we don't get through them all now in the masterclass, I'll when I send you the recording, I'll also send you these exercises so that you can actually take yourself through them. But so obviously personal branding is about standing out, not blending in. But the truth is, standing out obviously comes with a cost, which is the cost of judgment, disapproval, fear of what others will think. So what I want you to ask yourself is, what is the one risk you're not taking with your personal brand because of fear or disapproval? So is there something right now that something you know you need to do, but you're not doing? And I'd just like to hear what that is, because that's what I really want to support you to have a breakthrough in.
My fear is to be more to do more online, like video content marketing stuff.
Yeah, totally. That's a big one. Yeah. And anyone else?
Yeah, I think I've got more of a creator mindset, and I sort of have a fear of stepping into being a business owner and selling the package that is a bit higher up that I've put together. I can, I could deliver it, but the selling.
Wonderful. That's a perfect one. That's so good. So it's raising your prices actually and claiming your worth, because you know that you're just as good as the next person that's actually got that price tag on a similar service. So what I want you to do, Candice, do you have anything before we move on to the...
No, we can move on.
Yeah, okay. So the intervention is, what's the absolute worst case scenario if you take this risk? So I want you to think about this. Is it as bad as you think? And quickly write that down, and don't filter what you're writing. What's the worst case scenario? And now flip that. What's the best case scenario? So if you push past the fear and go all in, what could happen? Does anyone want to share?
I'm happy to share.
Thank you.
I think my worst case scenario is, I guess the fear was, actually being visible to start with. Actually having your name out there in big bold letters, and so people starting to know who you are and see who you are. So that for me took a long time to overcome. The worst case scenario is, all the efforts, nothing changes. So I'm no better off, no worse off.
Yeah.
Best case scenario is people start to get to see my name, if nothing else, and the content, and start to develop, I guess, a perception of what it is that I'm offering.
Yeah.
That would be best case scenario.
Yeah. And what about growth? Because visibility is a growth journey. It's one of the most personal development orientated growth journeys around, because it's really facing our fear and doing it anyway. And it really builds our courage and it builds our resilience. Just so empowering. So I'll move on, but there's another one here, the future you, owning your extraordinary self. So I'll send that afterwards in the notes. So if someone says no, and when, it's actually not if they say no, it's when they say no, because basically to be in this game, we have to face a lot of no's. It's just the reality. And so things that help me and have helped my clients is looking at this as a long-term game, and that we're actually, one of my highest values is relationships. So a client the other day said to me, we finished his 8 sessions that he'd sort of paid for, but we haven't quite finished the work. So I've been helping him with accountability and catching up with him every week. And he said, I don't want to be wasting you. And he keeps coming to the sessions and hasn't done the homework. And it's like, but he's and saying to me, I don't want to waste your time. And I said to him, you're not wasting my time, because I just see this as building and strengthening the relationship. So building relationships is a long-term thing. And what you find over time, once you've started your business and you're building these long-term relationships, when you look back and these relationships come with us throughout our career. So they are like gold. And at a certain time, one of these relationships will bring us an opportunity or introduce us to someone, or help us when we're down and out and our mindset's completely shrunk and not going well. So that's the power of this. And a no doesn't mean a no always. So a no might be now, but then who knows when that might turn into something. And prospects often become clients down the track. So to me, relationships is one of the most important things that we can be building, and those relationships can bring us referrals. So all of those things happen all the time. So that's how I like to reframe the no's. Or the other way to reframe the no is just to expect that we're going to get a lot of no's. A 10% conversion is often a great conversion. So that means that we've got 9 no's and 1 yes. So as long as our services are priced properly, so that yes really brings us forward and helps us achieve the goals that we're in this business for, then we're ahead of the game. So step number 2, the visibility block and breaking through this, is a lack of clarity. So I come across this all the time. So lack of clarity impacts how we feel. So it makes us feel frustrated, dissatisfied, restless. It stops us from taking action because we don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. And ultimately, this impacts our quality of life. That's from a personal perspective. And then from the business perspective, a lack of clarity, or from our sort of, marketing perspective, it impacts our messaging and all aspects of our branding, which include the verbal, value, and visual branding. So this is a really, really big one that we need to really be always working, clarifying, and testing, measuring, and refining. So when it comes to ourselves, the lack of clarity, we have to go back to foundations. So what is my vision and goal? What is your vision? What is your goal? What does success look like for you? What are you trying to achieve? So we've got to be crystal clear. These are simple things. This is just foundation 101. And then we work backwards from there. And it's obviously helpful to have a coach, because often this stuff is hard to do on our own because we get in our own way and we get stopped. And it's helpful also when we're clarifying and trying to work this out, is removing ourselves from the everyday to make space for our ultimate vision to emerge and take shape. So sometimes people say, if I'm sitting in my office, I get stuck. Whereas if I'm driving the car, or when I'm out in nature, or when I'm at a cafe, like I love cafes and tea houses, so it's about moving us out of this every day so that we can put ourselves into an expansion framework and an expansion mindset. And that helps our visibility, because once we connect with that vision and we connect with that future that really we feel, yes, resonates and is aligned, then we'll start to take action. So, and the thing is, we have to get this off our head or out of our head onto paper. So documenting our vision and goals is really, really, it's absolutely essential to do it. And at the very minimum, the goals once a week at the very minimum. And, many coaches say document your goals every day, spend 5 minutes a day just writing them out again so that we're crystal clear. Now, when lack of clarity is about our business, so we've got some lack of clarity within our business, this comes back to the nuts and bolts. So building your personal brand foundations piece by piece actually gives you clarity, because we go through each aspect of the personal brand foundations, and I'll show you a framework in a moment. So this is about doing a deep dive. Who is our audience? So a deep dive. What problem do we solve? Why are you equipped and passionate to solve this? And then we have to put this into problem solution messaging, and we have to put our services at the center of the solution. So this is really important. And this is often a step that people miss, is to put yourself as the solution, which to put yourself as the solution, you've got to then know, well, what do I do differently from other people? What sets me apart and what makes me unique? And often that is really challenging for people to clarify, because, you know, we're in our own head and we take all this for granted. But when it comes to quickly being able to impart these, these foundations, we get stuck. So this is the personal brand sort of framework in 7 steps. So this in and of itself is a powerful marketing strategy. So when people say to me, I don't know what my personal brand is, that's okay, because a personal brand is not a one-dimensional asset. It's actually an ecosystem. So it's an ecosystem that's made up of our website, our social media platforms. It's made up of, our beliefs. So, and there's a personal side to personal branding, which is made up of these things that I was just talking about. So our goals, our short, mid, and long term, our vision, our purpose, our legacy, our values, our passion, our strengths and uniqueness. Then there's the external side of personal branding, because personal branding is a strategic marketing sort of strategy that we craft for somebody. So we craft our brand. It always comes back to the person, our audience. What are their problems? How do we solve them? So it just starts with this. It comes back to this. So, but then in order to be credible, get chosen, we've got to be able to position and market our expertise, our skills, our transferable skills. So the industries that we came from, the type of work we did in the past. So we don't want to cut a tie between our past and now. We want to actually use our past to build the case of why we're it, why we are the ones that people should choose. So that comes into our strengths, our uniqueness, and then testimonials, qualifications, experience, case studies, our audience, and then we create all the brand elements from there. So there's a personal side, there's a professional side to personal branding. There's our identity and our sense of self, which is where this vision, purpose, legacy, values, passion, and core belief piece comes in. And it's got to be authentic and not fake, because people can smell something fake from a mile away. And so it's got to be fully aligned and authentic with who we truly are. And usually there'll be something, often in our childhood, there's some story, there's something that actually has led our life to do this, led us in this direction. And so these are the things that make up a personal brand foundation. So when you don't know what your personal brand is, it's just literally all of these things made up together. And then it's turning that into marketing collateral, turning it into content, turning it into blog posts, turning it into, masterclasses. So it's tangible, practical. So I'm going to delve a little bit into messaging. Because obviously we build the brand for somebody, and visibility is about a connection with our audience. And that's the problem we're solving ultimately, is not the problem once we've engaged them, but we're solving the problem of connection with the audience. So if we're not making sales, it's a connection problem. And I do a lot of training with Jacqueline Booker. She's a speaker trainer, and I listen to her podcast religiously. It's really amazing. And she's, said that recently. It's an audience problem. And so I've borrowed that from her. So it comes down to this again: who is your audience? What are their problems? What are your solutions? What are the characteristics of your audience? So Tamsin and I have done a lot of deep diving into this. So I don't think I've got anyone here in property on the call, but I do. A lot of my clients, I have worked a lot with property, so I'm going to use the property professionals as a case study. So this is what generic or weak messaging looks like. And so this type of messaging, it lacks the problem, solution, transformation model. It lacks that. So here's the generic: helping you buy property with confidence, expert buyer's agent services, making property investment easy, personalized support for your property journey, We know the market, so you don't have to. Professional, reliable, and trusted advice. So here's the strategic problem solution transformation. Tired of missing out? So there's the problem. We find you off-market deals before anyone else. Stop overpaying. Start investing smarter with a buyer's agent who fights for you. Confused by the market? We turn property overwhelm into clear, profitable decisions. So see the problems? Too busy to house hunt? We do the running so you don't have to. Your first investment shouldn't be a gamble. We make it a strategic move. And from property paralysis to keys in hand, we get you moving. See how that's problem solution transformation? It's actually all in the headline there. Now, fractional CFO, because these are some examples, because I know Tamsin here is fractional CFO is part of what she does. So these are generic messages: expert financial guidance for growing businesses, part-time CFO services you can trust, helping you make better financial decisions, strategic finance support for your business, your financial partner for growth. We help you understand your numbers. So that's, you know, it's just a bit generic. It doesn't have the problem. So let's look at these. Scaling fast but bleeding cash. Let's fix that before you burn out. Your revenue is up, but your bank balance isn't. We show you why. Making gut-based decisions. Let's replace guesswork with strategy. You've outgrown your bookkeeper, but you're not ready for a full-time CFO. Ready to raise capital? Don't walk into the room without a CFO. You know your industry. We know what your P&L should be telling you. See how this is sort of different? Obviously we use ChatGPT as our strategic partner in all of this. So it's about knowing what prompts to put into ChatGPT and making it specific for what you do. And I can say that I've been testing this messaging for myself, and I think that it's definitely effective, because we're talking about the pain, because I need you to know that I understand your pain. So number 3 is the lack of confidence and belief. So this is the other visibility block, lack of confidence and belief. So what this impacts is our mindset and our ability to take action. So this is a very big barrier. So the solution depends on what stage you're at in your business, if you're new, pivoting, or scaling, and actually the problems that you're dealing with. So I've put a few scenarios here. So scenario 1 is I'm new in business and pivoting to self-employment. I don't have many testimonials yet. I'm not really known. I'm not making many sales or any. I'm finding it harder than what I thought. I'm experiencing doubt. My belief is wavering and my finances are dwindling. So this is, a scary position if you find yourself there. So to have a breakthrough, what we need to do is we've got to reframe our mindset around being new, because you're not new. You've got a whole career behind you. You've got a whole lot of transferable skills behind you. You've got a whole lot of credibility behind you. So you are not actually new. So, and then we have to fast track our credibility even without testimonials. And that ties into the first one. So what we're doing with that is we're leaning on what we did before. So we're not wiping it out. We're actually taking those transferable skills and building credibility into that. We have to get clear on the value and who we help. So get clear on your value and who you help. Develop a simple, repeatable sales strategy. So that's really, really essential. Consistently build your brand presence. Manage your mindset and energy levels. And I'll be going into strategies for that. Stabilize your cash flow quickly. So if that means you do have to take a part-time job, or you do have to, get a flatmate, or you do have to do something that you don't want to do, then, maybe it is what it is. It just depends how badly you want this. And number 8 is tap into business assistance and community, because none of us can do this on our own. I can't do it on my own. And I know from speaking to all my clients that they can't either. So business is a team sport. And even if we're solopreneurs, We still need a team of other solopreneurs. We still need communities. We still need coaches. We still need help. So that's one scenario. The scenario two is when you're pivoting from one service to the next in your business. Now, I've done this a number of times. So I'm embarking on a new iteration of your business. So let's say you're evolving. You don't want to do the bookkeeping anymore. Now you want to become a consultant and a strategist around the finances for the business. So that's a new iteration of your business, evolving what you're known for. So you've been known for doing the doing, but now you want to be known for, advising and coaching and stuff like that. So this also requires an identity shift. So you're in the middle of an identity shift. So you're going from one subject matter expertise to another. It's a bit like when people get promoted into management and they've been really great at doing the doing. Now you've got to learn a new skill set and bringing a new service into your current business. So the breakthroughs for this, for when you're pivoting, is you have to clarify and embrace your new identity, which means working on the mindset strategies, which I'll be sharing very soon. Transfer and highlight relevant skills. So what you've got to really sell yourself first, essentially, is what we're saying here. And you've got to be highlighting the relevant skills to yourself first, because we can't sell something to others if we're not sold. And then we've got to build credibility fast in our new direction. So what that means is that maybe you need to take on a few clients for free initially in order to get some case studies and some testimonials. Maybe you need to really discount your prices. So my friend is doing a master's in counseling at the moment, and they've got to do their placement. And she's been doing counseling for 8 years, actually. She just didn't have the piece of paper, so she couldn't get into APRA. And so now these ladies are desperately building credibility fast in their new direction and charging $40 a session and, doing a few free sessions. So create a signature offer for your new direction. So you've got to really be certainly clear what is the thing you're selling, so that you're actually going to monetize this. Reframe your self-talk. So the imposter syndrome that comes up, when you are facing peers that have known you for the thing you did before, which was the doing potentially, then you've got to reframe your self-talk, build a new audience or nurture your existing audience differently. So I've done this many times. So I used to do outsourcing to the Philippines. I used to recruit virtual assistants. I was an early adopter back in 2010, and I was at BNI, and no one knew what the hell outsourcing was, and people looked at me like I was from the moon. Can you imagine? And now, look, it's totally saturated, and every second day we're getting messages in our LinkedIn that says, do you need a virtual assistant for this or that? But so I had a database from that, and then I didn't find that fulfilling anymore, and I wanted more fulfillment out of my career, and I wanted to be a coach. I always wanted to be a coach, but I never thought I was good enough. But I, always in small business all my career and love marketing. I've got a passion for problem solving, which is what marketing is. And so I, had this database from my outsourcing. And then when I pivoted myself into a coach, I emailed the database and I said, okay, I'm moving over here. My career's moving in this direction. So if you want to come with me on the journey, let's do it. And so I didn't lose all my database. Some of them are still on there. And last year I made $8,000, a $7,000 sale from that database, from a client from the outsourcing who I worked with in 2011. So lean on your network for support and visibility. So this is really important. So we've got this warm network. We've got all these people that know, like, and trust us already. So that's where we start with them. And we've got to normalize the feeling of being in transition. So, it doesn't mean that you're no good. It's just, a change. Create a powerful, clear introduction for networking and take consistent, bold visibility actions. So this all sounds really easy, doesn't it? It's like easy when we talk about it like this. But in any case, this is what we have to do. Who agrees with this? Who can relate to this? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is that even when we know all this, because, this is nothing new, what I'm sharing, but we might know everything, but yet when we're faced with a transition, or we're faced with a scenario. So let me outline this one to you. This is a one hell of a great one. Scenario number 3, established or scaling. So you're an established or scaling business, or you're established or you've hit some adversity. So you've lost a major client. Someone owes you a large sum of money. A major personal event impacts your focus. Your confidence dips. You start to shrink. You're wavering in your belief. Your finances are dwindling and you're burning out. How's that scenario? This is reality, right? So we know all this stuff, but we're still human and we are still, that's why, this is not a solo journey. So scenario 3, the breakthrough, is reframe your mindset around setback, stabilize your finances quickly, rapidly rebuild revenue streams. So that's going to take some problem solving. And sometimes when you're in that scenario, your prefrontal cortex switches off and you've sort of been hijacked by your amygdala and you go into sort of some fight, flight or freeze mode. So that's when you really need the community around you. You really need the coach. You really need the CFO, Tamsin Weller, who can actually help you problem solve your way out of this and rapidly rebuild revenue streams. That's why we can't do this on our own. Strengthen your core offer and brand message. So you might need to revisit your personal brand foundations and actually really look at your offer and tweak that. Reignite your confidence and your mindset practices. And the word here is practices, because no matter how much we know, if we're not practicing this stuff, when we hit adversity, when something happens to us, what happens to our mindset? And we shrink. And guess what happens to our visibility? Nothing happens on the visibility front because we're feeling so terrible on the inside. So this is really important to have all these foundations in place before we get to these scenarios. So you've got to have your community in place. You've got to have your coach. You've got to have the people, your go-to people, which is why I created She Simply Impacts for Women. So connect with your network and community, elevate your visibility to attract new clients, restore your energy and mental resilience, secure your mindset with a daily comeback routine. Daily comeback routine. So that could even include, people they fall into workaholism when this happens, and then they forget about their own physical, body. Oh gosh, I forgot I actually have a body. And suddenly my neck is all out and my shoulders. But, if you just go to the gym for 15 minutes, just push the chest press. It's amazing what that chest press does. So if you don't have time for your 1 hour routine, just go for 15 minutes because that's better than nothing. Or go for that walk around the block or whatever it is. So turn your setback into a powerful story and, the take care of your health piece. And this stuff all impacts our visibility. And that's why we're breaking through the 5 visibility blocks, and confidence and belief is such a big one when it comes to visibility, because that's the first thing that suffers is our visibility and our ability to get out there and show our face, because we've got all this stuff going on the outside. So this is what we need to realize, is that we are not alone. We are not alone in this, and that we are all human. And, business does not go perfectly. It is not a perfect linear journey. So does anyone have any feedback that you would like to share or add to this conversation? No. Tamsin?
And I think for me, through all this and my journey is still very much early, I sit in that scenario 1 phase very strongly.
Yes.
It's that fine balance.
Yes.
It's that fine balance between that drive to do everything, holding down a job to pay the bills, but then also looking after yourself.
Yeah,
So,
I know. It's no mean feat, is it? It's like this stuff takes it takes problem solving and maneuvering and a lot of, determination, and that you've got to really understand why am I doing this, that's something that it's got to really remain very strong, and you have a burning desire, and it can be done. It can be done. There's a lot of people that start off in scenario 1, So now, I'm going to move on to some mindset strategies, because obviously, self-leadership. So this book, I used to work at the Australian Institute of Professional Counsellors as the career coach, and I had no coaching qualifications. I got the job out of 47 applicants, and I hadn't had a job for 10 years. And I got the job in COVID when everyone was losing their jobs. So in May of 2020, I got this full-time job as the career coach. And I came across this book. It was an amazing place to work because I love learning and I love personal development. And I got paid to do a deep dive into personal branding and put a curriculum together for the graduates of the Diploma of Counselling. So a deep dive into personal branding. And this book is apparently one of the books that they study at uni. It's an amazing book, and it includes in here self-talk, evaluating beliefs and assumptions, incorporating visualization into self-leadership, the opportunity or obstacle thinking, and reframing failure. So I'm just going to run through a few of these quite quickly. And I guess the thing is, this is a refresher. So if you feel you know all of this, and, but it's good to hear it again. I found when I was putting the masterclass together, it was almost like, this is really good. I need this right now. So it was, it's sort of like it's useful to be going through all this. So when it comes to self-talk, we need to catch our self-talk, because what we say to ourselves has a huge impact on our results. So negative statements are sappers. They sap our energy, self-confidence, and our happiness. And destructive self-talk is a self-fulfilling prophecy. What we tell ourselves every day usually ends up coming true. It prevents us from achieving our goals and feeling good about ourselves. So, no doubt we all know this, right? This is nothing new. So we all talk to ourselves. So this is a quote from Pamela Butler. What we say determines the direction and quality of our lives. Our self-talk can make the difference between happiness and despair, between self-confidence and self-doubt. So altering our self-talk may be the most important undertaking you will ever begin. So this is how powerful this stuff is. So, every no is one step closer to a yes. I am grateful for, the grateful practice, gratitude practice. I am committed to achieving mastery. Everything I set my mind to, I achieve. I give myself permission to feel great regardless of the outcome, and abundance is a state of mind. So these are sort of, in my mind, a bit vanilla, but these are quite good. So I am building something meaningful even when the results are not instant. We need to tell ourselves that in scenario one, Candace. I offer real value and the right clients are looking for exactly what I provide. Every challenge I face is shaping me into a stronger, wiser business owner. I take consistent action, and that action creates momentum and opportunity, because that's the thing we can control. We can control that. I trust myself to figure things out and make aligned decisions. My voice, story, and services matter. I deserve to be seen, heard, and paid. So I thought I'd just give you a few prompts. Find that useful. So dysfunctional thinking, this is really interesting. So this is just a reminder of what constitutes dysfunctional thinking. So it's based on the work of David Burns, and there's 11 primary categories of dysfunctional thinking. So extreme thinking, so seeing things as black and white, e.g. if total perfection is not achieved, then a perception of complete failure results. So I'm guilty of this at times. Overgeneralization, generalizing a specific failure or negative result as an endless pattern. Mental filtering, emphasizing a single negative detail, thus distorting all other aspects of one's perception of reality. Oh dear. Disqualification of the positive, mentally disqualifying positive experiences from having any relevance or importance. Mind reading, drawing negative conclusions regarding situations despite a lack of concrete evidence to support these conclusions. So this is relevant when it comes to content. So you might put a piece of content out there. So lately I put myself on a 30-day video challenge, and I did a week, and I was wanting to use my poetry around personal branding as a visibility, for visibility. I've done it at various other times. And so if you put content out there and then no one likes or comments or whatever, or you just get 1 or 2 likes, you can easily draw negative conclusions regarding the situation, despite a lack of concrete evidence to support it. So I can say, oh, this, this is a rubbish, or this is no good, or this or that. And so that's a real trap, mind reading. Is anyone else guilty of that? Yeah, I think we all are. So fortune telling, so this is a great one, arbitrarily predicting that things will turn out badly. Oh dear. Magnifying and minimizing, exaggerating the importance of negative factors and minimizing the importance of positive factors related to one situation. Emotional reasoning, interpreting reality based on the negative emotion one experiences. Because the thing with emotions is that they are completely transitory. They come and go. But then when we identify with these emotions, we end up here. And the use of should statements, using terms such as should and shouldn't, ought and must in one's self-talk to coerce or manipulate oneself into taking actions. Labeling and mislabeling, so describing oneself, others, and events with negative labels. So I'm a failure, he's a cheat. So bringing our identity into this. And personalization, identifying oneself, so blaming oneself as the cause of negative events or outcomes that one is not primarily responsible for causing. So this is just a refresher to help us, because if we're in this situation of being stuck, silent, and or broke, then we've got to really look at our mindset and how can we, thrive and overcome whatever's holding us back. So money mindset is cultivating an abundance mindset. So, we're told all the time, there's an abundance of money, resources, love, relationships, wealth, opportunities, clients. It's like, yes, we're sick of hearing that. We know that and we're annoyed by that. And, but, the truth is there is. So what can you do? What can we do? We can focus on what we do have, the glass half full, gratitude, what we have control over. So we do have control over what we think, whether we're cynical or skeptical or, don't want to hear something. Improving our skills, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, daily activities. So that's what we can control. We can control all those things. So money mindset limiting beliefs. So here's just a few prompts and a few reframes. Money is hard to earn. Money flows to me easily when I focus on providing value and solving real problems. I don't deserve to charge high prices for my services. The transformation I create is priceless and the right clients are excited to invest in it. You like that one, Jen? I can't make money doing what I love. So we hear this all the time. My passion is a powerful driver of value, and the more I align with it, the more money I attract. Do you know that passion is a strength and passion sells? Passion is the thing that sells. So in our marketing, we've always got to be selling our passion. Why are we doing this? And passion really does sell. So if there's a difference between you and someone else and you're super passionate and you're super positive and you really express this, then, I'd pick you hands down, because I love being around passionate, positive people. I can't ask for money directly without feeling pushy. So my services are a solution that transforms lives, offering them as an act of service, not pressure. Often in my, depending on what people come to the coaching for, everyone has strengths and weaknesses, but, visibility is often a weakness, especially for people that have been employees all their life and then they come into being in their own business. They're introverts. They hate selling themselves. It's like we really have to work on this stuff, and having this mindset routine every day is actually part of the coaching. It's like part of the homework is putting yourself through, finding what works for you in some type of money mindset beliefs, growing your belief and growing your confidence. So if I raise my prices, I will lose clients. Who falls into that? Yeah, so raising my prices attracts clients who truly value my expertise and are committed to transformation. Because here's the thing, if we keep undervaluing ourselves and charging out for less money and we're not really achieving our goals, in the end, we're going to become resentful. And that resentment, people can feel it. Like you can't, you can put on a fake positive face, but in the end, you won't have any motivation to service the clients. So that's why we've really got to be spot on with our pricing so that we're achieving our goals and we feel like, we're getting fairly remunerated for the work we're doing. And then visualization is imagining successful completion of an event before you physically begin the event. So we are capable of creating a unique world within ourselves. The essence of our experience of life is centered within the inner world we create. So this is just all reminders. So opportunity or obstacle thinking, it's seeing challenges as opportunities. I struggle with this because it's like when you're in a challenge, it certainly does not feel like an opportunity and it's annoying. And if someone says, what's the opportunity in this? It's like, and sometimes you can't see the opportunity because the challenge is so overpowering. But, so it's still good to try because if we're making an effort, then we're still working towards a solution. So obstacle thinking is focusing on the roadblocks and pitfalls. It fosters avoidance of challenges in favor of more secure options, often with substantially lesser potential payoffs. So these are all things to think about. And then, of course, failure, the power of failure. Failure is success in progress. The only failure is to back away from worthwhile challenges without even trying. Because the thing is, if you try, you give it everything you've got and you don't get the result, well, you've still done your bit. You've done your bit. You can't control the things out there. You can only control what you've done. And if this is really important to you and you've given it your best shot, you've given it everything you've got, then that's a true success. So the power of failure and some strategies is redefining it, redefining success, learning from it, viewing failure as stepping stones to success. Find the opportunities of failure, use negative feedback to your advantage, look beyond yourself and persist. And one thing, like I'm always responsible. I have some responsibility in everything that happens to me. And, I see some clients I work with, I see them making the same mistakes over and over again. And I do my best to point it out. Like I don't sit there saying nothing, but I guess there has to be a time and a place when someone's really looking to, to redefine their habits, I guess. So the power of failure. So challenges are disguised opportunities. Differences are gifts. Mistakes are learning opportunities. When we try our best, we always succeed, even if we don't achieve the results we hope for. And the only way we can really fail is if we refuse to learn from our setbacks, which is what I was trying to say before. So what is the learning? That's really the gift. So these are some amazing books that I've read in the last 12 months. The Wealth Money Can't Buy. I love that book. I love them all. So all of these books have really given me a lot. And I find The Anxious Achiever to be a most amazing book. So if you're working with clients who have anxiety issues, the author, she's just so brave. She's just amazing. And apparently she's a big influencer on LinkedIn and has a podcast, but I found her book incredible. So that was really awesome. And then a few others. So, and whatever our mindset routine is, I think we definitely need one. We definitely need a mindset routine because it's really easy to get, knocked off course. So moving on, if you have any comments or feedback or anything you want to share before we move on. Okay, lack of strategy is number 4. So the principles of strategy are taking the right actions that actually move the needle, because we can be very busy, but not really doing the work that we need to be doing that's going to really move the needle. no one size fits all, personal. So whatever our strategy, it depends on our industry, depends on us, who we are, what is realistic and sustainable. And ChatGPT is really our strategic partner. So using ChatGPT or whatever platform you like, my friend came around the other night and told me about the new GPT that talks to you, which is the X GPT called Grok. I don't know if you guys have used Grok, but I like ChatGPT. So path of least resistance for your situation. So that's what we're looking for. So this is why there's no one size fits all. We've got to work out who I am, who I'm not, and what's going to work for me. And so these coaches that try and push you into their way, that might not necessarily work for you. So I believe that a very good coach will tune into you and help you work out what is going to work for you, what's the path of least resistance. And that's my philosophy. So the low-hanging fruit. So where is our low-hanging fruit? It's found in our warm market. It's found in our past clients. It's tapping into our preferences and strengths. What comes easily? What do I enjoy? What can I sustain? So this is all really important when we're figuring out what is my strategy, what's my game plan. So I've had a lot to do with coaches, business, spiritual consultants, CFOs such as Tamsin, cybersecurity, property. I've worked with a lot of investors, buyers, agents. I've got a client at the moment, real estate agents, golf coaches I've worked with, help them with their branding of their team of golf coaches, healers, counselors, spiritual healers, web developer, authors. So every one of these has a slightly different strategy. So I can't really say, okay, here's the strategy, because my clients come from all of these different places and there's a slightly different strategy for each one. And it also depends on your business model. So your business model might be the type of model where you get the client and you keep them forever, such as a CFO, such as Tamsin's got a few clients like that. And that's obviously a great business model. That's the best sort of business model because it means you can, you've always got this revenue stream coming in. But if you don't have a business like that, where that's the case, then, your strategy is going to be different. And so your, business models impact our strategies and our industry impacts our strategies as well. So with the property people, a lot of their strategies are referral partners. So they've just got to build all their referral partners, building relationships. But whatever our strategy is, metrics, what gets measured grows. We've got to be recording our metrics and we've actually got to be tracking what we're doing. Because if we're not tracking what we're doing and it's not working or it is working, we've got to always be refining so that we're actually doing more of what works and less of what doesn't work so that we're not burning out. So marketing activity that grows your business is new connections on LinkedIn, posts on social media, growing your database, social media connections, joining your mailing list, email newsletters sent fortnightly, monthly, making calls to actions, including calls to action, sales conversations, how many we have, live networking events that we attend, speaking gigs that we do, face-to-face masterclasses, podcasts, blogs posted, masterclasses delivered, number of direct outreach for one-on-one conversations, referral partnerships, speaking, referrals, and repeat business all grow our business. So this is just not an exhaustive list, but there's some key things. So how to connect your personal brand to actual cash flow. So this is the golden question. So, how would I get a return on investment from building my personal brand foundations? Well, when we work on your foundations, we're doing a deep dive into your niche and your ideal clients. We're doing a deep dive into your value proposition. So what makes you unique, your unique value proposition? We clarify your core message. So all of this gets articulated, documented, and clarified. And then we're aligning our messaging with the pain points like I showed you earlier. We're speaking directly to the problems. We are demonstrating how we show the problems, solve them, show that we solve them, and connect our expertise to tangible outcomes. So we've got to create a lot of assets. And that's what building your personal brand foundation does for you. It helps you create the assets. So you're creating the testimonials, so they're assets. You're creating the case studies, so they're assets that you use for marketing. You're creating the blog posts, you're creating your content plan, but it's all coming out of that aligned triangle I showed you earlier. Optimizing your digital presence for lead gen. So this is our professional social media profiles, because all social platforms are search engines. So we want to make sure that our profiles are optimized. We need a website that converts, if that's our strategy, if that's relevant. So that's not relevant for every business, because not every business is going to be running ads and things like that and wanting to be found through their organic search engine optimization. But we definitely need content that builds trust, and content can build trust, and it does build trust. So if you're creating a strategic offer suite, so this is especially relevant for coaches, high ticket offer, so your primary income driver, your mid ticket offer, your low ticket or free offer, so your lead magnet. What is that going to be? I have a special preference for masterclasses and training, because that's what I love to do. That's what I'm passionate about. And we've got to connect each offer to cash flow, and we have to track each offer. Then there's building a consistent client attraction system. So leveraging email marketing, implementing a follow-up system, like that example that I mentioned before of the buyer's agent who meets all these people, but then the follow-up is a bit weak. So we're working on strengthening the follow-up and building her confidence around the follow-up and around reaching out and knowing what to say. So then what we're doing there is we're actually practicing the pitch. We're working out what is the pitch and practicing that and building some confidence in that and role-playing some of that. Promoting client wins and results, because that's what gives us credibility, is what I achieved for this client, what I did for them. Then strategic offers, so making those regularly, so running free masterclasses. So this is one of those right now. Creating a limited time offer. I'm not so big on those. I don't really love that strategy, but a lot of people, think it's wonderful. Leverage client testimonials in promotions. That's definitely something important to do. So what we're doing here is we're fast tracking being seen, being trusted. Now, the best way to get trust, fastest way to build trust is through video. And actually, this masterclass that I'm delivering, it's me on video. It's me and yourself. So I'm grateful that you came. And so this is a great way to build trust, because people get a direct, then this is being recorded, then I send it out to the people that weren't able to make it, and then, it becomes a lead magnet. So I really recommend that you have something like this, because it's a leveraged thing. And then once you actually meet someone, if you're out and about, you can send them this link and people can watch it. And also then you can run ads to it once you've actually worked out, yes, I get a conversion from this. So these are strategies. These are my favorite strategies, but they're not necessarily going to be your favorite ones. But so we want to be the ones that are chosen, and the only way we get chosen is when people like us. So they've got to know us for a start, which is the visibility. They've got to like us. So we've got to share things, be authentic so that we can be likable and actually share something so that they know, hey, we have a personality. We're not just this vanilla hiding behind our qualifications, and making sales and getting a return on investment and tracking all of that. So that's obviously really important. So breaking through visibility block number 5, lack of consistency. Now, I'll say it again, all of these are interrelated. So they all impact one another, but lack of consistency impacts our visibility, obviously, if we're not showing up, and our actual results, our bank account. It's going to impact that. So solutions, obviously, are getting some accountability, delegating things so that they still get done. If you just don't do it, or you hate doing it, or you just know you're not going to do it, or you don't have time, you're working full time. So delegate. That's just such a simple framework. Time management system. So schedule and diarize things. Give yourself a reward, give yourself a punishment, hiring a coach, joining a mastermind, being part of a community. So these are ways to actually solve this lack of consistency, depending on what your weaknesses are. Hey, Mick. So ChatGPT is our strategic partner. This is true. So you can be getting lots of great strategies from ChatGPT, but it's not our accountability partner. It's not going to come back and say, hey, did you actually implement that? Did you follow through on that? That was actually a really good strategy. What did you do with that? So to me, accountability, I mean, I called my coaching business Vision Accountable because accountability is such a powerful thing. It really, really is. So if you don't have any accountability, well, that would be my first cab off the rank for you, my first intervention to actually getting you a visibility breakthrough, because accountability is where it's at. So no more waiting, time to take action. Action is everything, because unless we test things, which means taking action, we can't measure it and we can't refine it. So we don't know what's going to work. So the quicker that we get into this test, measure, and refine through taking action, the testing bit, the more we're going to have some evidence of, what is going to move the needle here. And sometimes you don't know. It's a bit of a problem-solving thing that we've got to take ourselves through. So some daily habits for visibility is post one value-driven social media post per day, comment on 3 to 5 posts from industry leaders or potential clients, sharing insights, asking questions, or providing encouragement, sending a direct message to 2 to 3 potential clients or referral partners per day, and working on your mindset daily. Weekly, hosting or attending a networking event, publishing a blog post or email newsletter, sharing a client success story, recording a 2-minute educational video, share a quick tip, your area of expertise in your area of expertise. And monthly is run a free or low-cost masterclass, review your client attraction funnel, so your lead magnet, your consult, your sales. So really track all of this. Test, measure, refine always, and measuring metrics. And quarterly is update our social media bios. So that gives that, it's amazing. One of my colleagues recently updated all of her bio and her stuff, and she just felt $1 million. And then she went out on all these groups and posted, her bio where you could sort of sell yourself and stuff like that. So it's amazing. If your marketing is stale and you haven't really looked at it for ages, and, it just what this does to our confidence, because confidence and belief is one of the things that we need to break through. It does a lot, just a simple thing like that. Working and improving our messaging all the time. So is my messaging landing? Is this the best way I could be saying that? Work on our pitching skills, because this all builds confidence and belief, is when we're actually articulating them. If you're feeling flat and you actually want a boost, then get your camera into the tripod thing and start recording some videos. Even if you're never going to post them, just do it. So once you start pitching, it's amazing what it does to your confidence and belief. Strategic networking is very important. Speaking skills and building referral partners is really, this all moves the needle. So breaking through with my help. So you're absolutely invited, if you're stuck, to break through with my help. And I feel very grateful to Tamsin for being on the call today, but also Tamsin, I promised her right from the get-go that I wanted her to get this quick return on investment, because I knew that, sometimes it's a bit what you were saying, Candace. It's like you hesitate to spend the money because am I going to really get a return on investment from this? So she actually got it quickly, and I was just, obviously stoked. And so it's like drawing a line in the sand when you actually make that investment and you say, I'm doing it. So Tamsin, did you want to say anything? Because you're here.
Well, yes. She did promise her a quick return on investment, and obviously there's a lot of work that had to go on my side as well as Angela's side. One of the big things I did get out of this was I had to get out of my own way, and Angela did that for me. But not just that, this particular return on investment not only required me to market myself, and I put a proposal forward, and Angela and I had really worked about how we delivered that pitch, but I got pushback on that pitch. And I then had to sell my pitch into them, sell my proposal. So marketing and selling are just two different skill sets, and neither of mine, by the way, because I am a CFO, so numbers are my thing. So we'd done the first hurdle, and Angela had been with me right there as we went through the first hurdle, and then came the second hurdle about they wanted to discount the price. They didn't see the value in what I was trying to put forward. And so in a panic, I'd gone back to Angela. And at the time this proposal came through, money was really tight. So I was very quick to want to say, I'll take it. I'll take the discount. I just need, some food on the table. But Angela said, no, take a breath. You need to step back. Your value here is where we need to sell it. And here are the tools we're going to sell to get this across the line. And we got that across the line. So it was a win on two fronts, not just the one front. And I don't think I could have gotten that across the line like I did without having Angela there.
Thanks, Tamsin. And what that shows is that, this is a team sport. You can't do this alone, especially if you're like Tamsin did all the work, just like she said. She's a very hard worker. She's very dedicated, and, you work on yourself, Tamsin. Like, she tackles it all from many different angles. So it's been a real great privilege to help you. But, it's amazing when you've got that person there, the difference that it can make, and the real transparency, because these masks that we need to put on, because obviously personal branding is external, is strategic, and it's perception based. So we're building this perception, and yes, we have to create that strategically, and yes, it's got to be authentic, but, we're still masked on some level. So it's about getting behind the mask and having that support so that you don't need a mask and you can show up exactly how you are. And we work from there. So it's really amazing. So essentially, that's all of the content. We're connected on LinkedIn with everyone here, which is really great. So that's if you're not connected to me and you're watching this, then that's my LinkedIn QR code. Map out your yearly goals workbook. So that's a really useful workbook that I've created that I've taken many people through, including myself, and it's really powerful. And of course, if you would like to book in to a free personal branding consultation, you're very, very welcome. And here's my QR code for that. So would anyone like to share key takeaways or any feedback before I close off the recording?
Yeah, I'm happy to share, Angela. I think the lack of strategy and the consistency part is something that I've been learning, muddling my way through, I should say, with my best friend, ChatGPT, as very fondly known as Sparky to me. But I am getting the understanding of how important that consistency is, especially with getting visibility out there.
Yeah.
It's helped me realign expectations of what it means to be an entrepreneur.
Yes, perfect. Wonderful. Thanks for attending. Thanks for your feedback. So I'll just close off the recording. Thanks for watching, if you're watching the recording. And hopefully I will see you in the free personal branding consult.